Welcome back to the Red Zone Rundown. Little special episode here, Super Bowl edition here. Due to scheduling conflicts here, I'm riding with a new co-host here. This is Gino. We're going to get into it right off the bat. Obviously, the Super Bowl happened this weekend here. 49ers unable to get the W there against the Chiefs. A game that was kind of the tale of two halves, kind of like the Niners had in the conference round there with the Lions. It's kind of a tale of two halves. Kind of a sloppy first half there on both teams' parts. Neither team really wanted to take over in that game. The Niners, in my opinion, did look stronger in the first half than the Chiefs did, and the Chiefs just did what the Chiefs do. They hung around, played good defense, got a couple key turnovers in the first half as well as the second half. It was a game that the Niners just really couldn't put out of reach for him. And everybody knows you give Patty Mahomes a chance to come back and beat you, he's going to come back and beat you. He's definitely narrowing that gap between Tom Brady and himself for the greatest comeback guys, if not greatest of all time comparisons. It's definitely warranted at this point. You don't have the success that he's had in the league and not be put into that category at this point. They're sticking with Mahomes there. He has 333 yards of passing there. Does run for 66 rushing yards as well, which led the team in rushing yards as well. Has the 2 touchdowns. Did have the one bad ball that he threw. It was picked off there by Jair Brown, the Penn State rookie there. Still not real sure who that was going to, if it was meant for Kelsey or the deep receiver there on that one, but definitely a miss on that play. Most of those yards came in the second half. They didn't have a whole lot of success there in the first half, and kind of really got into it in the second half. Obviously, everybody's talking about the Travis Kelsey, Andy Reid going at it kind of deal, where Travis kind of got in his face there, bumped him a little bit, and had a little screaming match with him there, just kind of letting his passion flow out there. I don't see anything more there than that. I've heard some people talking, trying to bring assault charges and all kinds of absolute nonsense. In my opinion, there you can look around the league and that stuff happens pretty frequently. Obviously, not the best look for the NFL. I'm sure the NFL is not super happy about it. Don't really see a fine or anything in his future there. He did apologize and said he wished you could take that back there pretty quickly after the game. Him and Andy are very, very close. So both those guys have the utmost respect for each other. I don't think there's any ill will there or anything like that. It was just Travis saying, "I got to be in the game. I'm one of the best players in this team, if not the best offensive weapon on the field." And in the red zone there, he's not on the field. Obviously, Pacheco puts that ball on the ground. Noah Gray's right there with it. So if you think maybe if Kelsey's on the field there, maybe things are different. Maybe the play call's different. Could have been a big turning point in the game. Honestly, I think it was a big turning point in that game because after that play, the Chiefs offense kind of figured it out, kind of got back to letting Kelsey be Kelsey and just finding ways to get open. Nobody runs Kelsey routes like Kelsey. Obviously, there's a reason why they call them Kelsey routes. It's not really a designed route, but he just finds ways to get open and make plays when he does. I mean, at that point, he only had 1 catch for 1 yard in the first half, and then ends up going off for 8 for 92 in the second half there. Almost scores the game-winning touchdown there in overtime, before they go to the little corn dog route there and get McCole Hardman into the end zone for the win. Pacheco, I thought, had kind of a mixed bag in this game. In the first half there, he kind of looked little out of his element. Wasn't running quite as hard, I didn't think. Obviously had that big fumble, missed some big plays in my opinion. Ended up having a decent day though. He had 18 carries for 59 yards. So I do like seeing them getting him involved with the 18 carries. McCole Hardman, man, it's a hell of a whirlwind of a season. He starts the season with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, kind of loses his spot there in that offense. Without Rodgers there, that offense was completely different. Ends up making his way back, mid-season there to the Chiefs, and then ends up being a Super Bowl hero here, where he ends up in the end zone in overtime to get that big win there, get the big W there. So it's kind of crazy little cap to the season there. going from the highs of being with Rodgers to obviously the lows of losing him so early in the season to coming back home to Minnesota, coming back home to the Kansas City Jesus, the Kansas City Chiefs there to get the W and another Super Bowl ring for McColl. Um, as far as the defensive side of the ball, the Chiefs were phenomenal there. I thought Spags really had a couple key moments there. The overtime there with the Niners had the ball. He gets Chris Jones untouched to force Purdy to throw that ball away to give them a chance to go down there and win it with a touchdown instead of having to go down there and tie it with a touchdown. Gives them the option of extending it with the field goal as well. And just so everybody's aware of the new NFL rules, the playoff rules there. The new NFL playoffs, it's a whole new game in the first quarter there. So I know there's a lot of people talking. They almost took time running out there. If time would have ran out there in the first quarter, it's essentially what it is. It's the first quarter. It would have went right over to the second overtime or second quarter. That quarter would have featured end of the half as timing. So you would have had a 2-minute warning, that kind of stuff. Kind of a bad beat there for me. I did have a bet on the line there for a double overtime game, so that came 3 seconds away from hitting on the double overtime for me. So that would have been a nice little chunk of change. I would have hit on that, but unfortunately I missed on that by 3 seconds. We did all right for the game though. Obviously, I did have tails. Was pretty heavily invested in tails, so that started off bad. But we had some other stuff hit during the game, so ended up coming up on top. So can't complain there with how the betting day went for me. Could have been better, obviously, but we'll take. Hey, a win's a win when it comes to gambling, so we'll take it. Obviously, the big play in this game here, where the game really turned for me, was the punt that goes off the 49ers defenseman's legs, and they're unable to recover that punt. The game really changed there. Justin Watson there jumps on that ball. He had a pretty decent game on the offensive side of the ball too, with 3 catches for 54 yards. Recovered the game really game changing muff punt. Pretty crazy to see a game that we didn't really have much return game in. Super Bowl's kind of been known for that. There was not a single kickoff return, only a handful of punts in the game. So, and obviously that was a massive turning point in the game, where special teams kind of really came back and bit the 49ers in the ass in this game, in my opinion. But the Chiefs defensively played great. Nick Bolton was all over the field. He had 13 tackles in this game. Trent McDuffie made some big plays. He had the big knockdown pass there towards the end of the game there in the 2-minute drill there, which really, if they get that first down, the Niners are going to bleed the clock out, kick the field goal, and Mahomes is never going to touch the field again, which is really, honestly, the only way you're ever going to beat Mahomes, in my opinion. So if you give Mahomes a chance to beat you, he's more than likely going to beat you. Spags dials up the D-back blitz there. McDuffie knocks that ball down, forces them to take the punt. Forces them to take the field goal there. It gets Mahomes the ball back with like a minute 50 to go in the game. Obviously, they go down there, don't have to really rush it. They do pretty well managing the clock, getting down there, kick the field goal there, unable to win it there in regulation. But then obviously they come out there in overtime and get it done. Leo Chanel, he was a monster in this game too. It's good to see the smaller school guy there, kind of coming up big. Not very small school. He played at Wisconsin, but the smaller name guy come out there and get it done. He had 6 tackles in the game. Had a tackle for loss. He was the one who blocked the extra point as well, which ended up being a massive difference in the end of the game there with them only getting the field goal there and making it, keep it with a field goal game essentially there. So it was a massive play over that block punt or block field goal. Jesus, can't talk. But on the 49ers side, Purdy played decent, and I wasn't disappointed nor overly impressed. A very Brock Purdy-like S-Day. Didn't make any mistakes, really kind of managed the game very well. People do call him a game manager, and he is very good as a game manager, and he can make all the big-time throws. But I wasn't disappointed with Purdy's performance there. He looked like he was poised to win that game. Just a couple plays, in the special teams game, really, which unfortunately he's on the field for, kind of are the difference in this one. He goes 255, a touchdown. Kind of feel bad for a guy like Jawan Jennings, who, if the Niners win that game, he probably wins MVP. he played phenomenal in that game. Obviously, he throws the trick play touchdown there, which did have non-quarterback player to throw a touchdown pass in there. So that one hit the bank account pretty nice. So I appreciate the air, Juwan. Thanks for looking out for me. He also had 4 catches for 42 yards, had a receiving touchdown as well. So he played very well, with his arm as well as his legs in the receiving game. McCaffrey had a very McCaffrey like day. He had 22 carries, 80 yards on the ground, 8 catches for 80 yards in the air, had a touchdown. Did have that very uncharacteristic fumble on the first possession there, where the Niners were really just going down the field and putting one on the Chiefs defense there that first drive, and then obviously McCaffrey puts the ball on the ground. They lose that ball, and it obviously kills the drive there and kind of stagnated the offense there for the rest of the first half. But obviously, the Niners were up 10 in this game, and it does seem like every time Mahomes is going to win a Super Bowl, he's going to be down 10. So maybe next year, if they get back there, whoever they're playing, very well could be the Niners again next year. Would be overly shocked to see this matchup for the next couple years here. Both teams are loaded and ready to go continuously, so it's going to be a pretty good rivalry there with them. But maybe next year don't put them down 10. Maybe keep them at 7. Maybe get it to 14. Stay away from the 10-point deficit there for the Chiefs. It does seem like that is the worst lead in football. A 10-point lead with the Chiefs, they're going to come back and get you. But as far as the rest of the Niners offense there, little bit disappointing here for the receivers on that team. Ayuk had 3 for 49. Like to see more out of him in a big game. Debo only 3 for 33. So the two big guys outside just didn't give you their normal production that you normally see out of those guys. You did have to kind of get it from some other guys like obviously Jawan Jennings there and Juszczyk. He had 2 catches for 31 yards. He did what he does. That he's one of the best receiving fullbacks of all time, in my opinion, and one of the best fullbacks of all time. And as a whole. But you also look at guys who kind of let you down in this one. George Kittle only had 3 targets in the game, 2 catches for 4 yards. It's just not good enough. I thought this was a game that the Chiefs would struggle to defend somebody like Kittle. I thought Kittle had every opportunity to have a big game, especially with the Chiefs having the two stud corners and Snead and Trent McDuffie. I thought there would be a chance for him to work well in the middle of the field and kind of get it done that way, and it just wasn't the case as far as Kittle. So I think he's going to look back at that game and be quite underwhelmed with his personal performance in this one. Fred Warner obviously does what Fred Warner does. He's the best linebacker in the league for a reason. He had 13 tackles in this game. He's flying all over the field. Heart does go out to Drake Greenlaw. That he was so amped up for this game, playing so well, and then obviously has that absolute freak injury coming onto the field where he's kind of just doing some calf raises, bouncing on the sideline, trying to get himself hyped up to come back onto the field. And as soon as he comes onto the field there, the Achilles just goes up. Been a crazy year for Achilles. I don't ever recall this many Achilles injuries ever. So I don't know. I don't how really have an idea why that is. Maybe athletes just get bigger, stronger, faster, and that's just a joint or a tendon that we're not used to using quite at that high of an explosive level. So obviously, hopefully, for the best recovery on him. I would not be surprised if he's not ready to go till mid-season next year, unless he gets with Aaron Rodgers' guy there and maybe gets back quicker than anticipated there. So wishing him the best for a speedy recovery there, and a long off season with kind of how that one ended for the Niners. This one's going to hurt, I think, for the Niners a little bit there. Obviously, to get that close and not get it done is always a tough way to end the year. There's only one team that's happy with how the year ends, and that's whoever wins it. Obviously, the Chiefs now have the chance to come back next year and win a third straight. It's the first back-to-backs in 19 years, back from when New England did it 19 years ago. it's pretty crazy, with how many good teams have been out there, have been good consistently. It's a really crazy year this year in the NFL. Bunch of injuries to big name guys this year, losing so many quarterbacks this year, guys, tackles and linemen and everything missing time. Even obviously the Chiefs missed Joe Tooney in this game, who's an All Pro guard. And then his backup, it comes out he finished the game with a torn UCL and like could barely move his elbow. So it's crazy performance out of him to gut that out, get through. Know your teams need you. You're short at that position. In the Super Bowl in the biggest game, and to play, he played well. And he played very well. And that's not a DC team to play well against. The Niners got some dogs on the defensive line with Hargrave and Chase Young and Bosa and all them guys. Like it's a murderer's row of who's who on that defensive line and linebacker core. One of the best front sevens, if not the best front seven in the NFL. But it's sad to see the season go. Obviously it's tough to get to the end of the year. No, we're not going to have any real NFL football here for a while. But it does kind of get us into one of my favorite times of the year. We're officially now in draft season. Obviously, I'm excited to see where the spring league goes here with the XFL and the UFL combining there. So it's, excited to see kind of what that product looks like this year. See where free agency picks up there. I think this is going to be a very interesting offseason. A lot of veteran quarterbacks potentially on the trade market or free agent market with Kirk and Justin Fields potentially moving, and who knows what the Broncos are doing with Russ, and what does New England do with Mac, and there's a bunch of moving parts this offseason. So I don't think we'll be in for a boring offseason by any means. That'll wrap up the rundown there for this year's Super Bowl. We'll look forward to getting back into the rundown here once. Maybe we'll do some stuff for the USFL. We'll see what we do for the spring leagues there on that. I'll have to get with Judge there and see what time constraints we'll have for those. But that'll